Hey y'all, this is Brianna and this is Leah, and we are welcoming you to episode 2 of Doctor's Notes. Today we are going to be delving into and picking apart our tiny instrument cover of Charlie Puth's song How Long. And this one is a tiny tango, so we switch things up a little bit with doctor's notes and our tiny instruments. One thing that we would like to do is to maybe every few weeks or something, we wanted to release a cover of a popular song using our tiny instruments. Instruments that generally are not super well known to people, and could just be something interesting and that can help to bring light to Leah's Tiny Instrument Academy specifically. This time we chose How Long just because honestly it was a song that was played on the radio so much when it came out, and I loved it, but it got annoying after a while, honestly. But then I knew that it had a pretty decent bass line and it was something that was relevant to everybody right now. So I suggested How Long for our first cover for Doctor's Notes. And Leah was cool with it and we ran with it. We just changed it up a little bit. Instead of it being the normal pop version, we made it into a tango.
Yeah, so one of the projects that I've been working on is trying to create more jazzy covers of pop tunes featuring tiny instruments. So Tiny Instrument Academy, we're focusing on melodica, which you play, baritone ukulele, ubass or bass ukulele, and cajon. So we've got all 4 of those instruments in this arrangement, just until such a time as we find a cajon and barayuk player to fill out the roster. We're going with sampling, which, if you watch the last episode, is one of my other passions. So I wanted to do a more jazz cover of it, but the problem with a lot of jazz covers is that it sounds really hokey with a swung eighth note feel. And so I've really delved into a lot of Latin styles, particularly tango, to get a straight eighth note feel, but still have something different and nuanced. And it was a great opportunity for me to learn a little bit more about tango bass lines, and I just thought the theme of love and betrayal and infidelity was just so fitting with with the themes of typical Argentinian tangos, the old fashioned styles. So so I ended up doing an arrangement of that, and I'll show you in later in the episode. I'll show you how some of the things that I did for that arrangement. But Brianna, I wanted to talk to you about like why you decided to pick up melodica.
So I chose Melodica, and I really thank Leah for this because she helped me. Because prior to meeting her, I didn't know of tiny instruments or think of them in that way. And I had no clue like what was necessarily considered specifically a tiny instrument. And she suggested, melodica could work. And I thought about it and I knew that that would be really fun and it wouldn't have a huge learning curve for me because I'm a pianist. And it also made me think of John Batiste, because he's
Yeah.
also an artist that I know who plays melodica. And back in my Sanford days, we did a Sanford jazz band. We had a master class with John Batiste
Oh, wow.
before he was, super super famous. He and his band were just John Batiste and Stay Human before they teamed up with Colbert,
Oh, that's
and he had the
cool.
melodica there. So I thought that would be the easiest place for me to start. It looked super fun, um, and frankly, I didn't know of any other tiny instrument that would fit into my wheelhouse, because I'm not a guitarist. I attempt, but I cannot. I don't know how to play ukulele. But this was like combining my years of saxophone playing and my years of piano into one instrument.
Oh, I
So
didn't
I was
know.
like, check.
I didn't know you played saxophone. Yeah, so that's a
Yeah.
huge
Mhm.
advantage because you have like both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I played in middle school. Then I took a break in high school and picked it back up when I got to Sanford, and I played in the wind ensemble. And Michael actually like gave me a almost like a lesson where he helped me to just prepare for my wind ensemble audition
Mm-hmm.
before I auditioned, because I was super nervous, and I wanted to hear from the master, the saxophone master.
Yeah, woodwinds
Yeah.
master.
Yes. So yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Well, have I told you the story of how I came to um, collect?
No, I was wondering.
Yeah, because I have a huge collection of I got all sorts of tinies back here and some not so tinies, obviously. So right after I have a long tragic story of how I ended up in Birmingham, but right after I got here was a pretty bad time, and it sort of culminated in me accidentally almost chopping off my left pointer finger, which is a pretty integral part of playing bass. And um, so I had this like little corn dog bandage looking thing for like a couple weeks.
Oh
It was
no.
really awful. Um,
Were
and
you cooking?
yeah, this is such a white girl thing, but I was cutting an avocado. it's
No. Oh my God. Did it slip like on the pit
yeah,
or something?
yeah. I was trying to get the pit out, and yeah, it
I'm
was
so
it
sorry.
was bad, and I was
Oh,
yeah, it was not a good time. But the silver lining was I needed something to practice, so I went to Guitar Center and got a melodica because that was like the one thing I could think of where all you do is just hold it. I could just put my little corn dog in the outside of the holder and just practice some scales and improvisation and just keep my musicianship going during like the month that I did. I was just recovering, and I eventually switched back to upright right before the jam session where I met Michael. We played together, and that was just how we got connected and met. And but I over time I started having more problems with playing upright. Like I think there's some pretty permanent nerve damage. I don't know. I might try acupuncture at some point to like see if that can like you know get that do its thing and kind of break up the scar tissue a little bit. But so like about 6 months after I cut myself, I switched over to ubass, and because it was just a lot gentler on my hands. I have kind of small hands, so it was kind of a natural choice, and I hadn't heard about it until like when I was when I was in Seattle. One of my friends he was a saxophonist, but he's also a ukulele player. And I came over to his house one time, and he had a U bass, and he was like, "You got to see this thing." And I was like, "This is so cool." And like, I'd always wanted to get one, and I just never quite got around to it. And then, yeah, I was just like, I have this nerve damage. I think now is a good time to get one. And everyone like every time I bring it out, people are just like so fascinated by it, and I think it's so cool, and it really is like a fun little instrument. And so I guess I just wanted to start Tiny Instrument Academy because I was interested in getting my chops up on ubass, and I wanted to learn melodica, and I was sort of curious about cajon, and it just sort of like I just had this idea of like, oh, I want to learn all these tiny instruments, but I didn't have there's not a whole lot of instruction. Cajon there is, but like the other instruments, it's really hard to find like straight up melodica courses or get melodica lessons. And it is a with all of them, they have like older siblings, and instruments family, like baritone ukulele is the top four strings of a guitar. Ubass is basically just literally a tiny bass. Melodica's keyboard, a small keyboard instrument. Um, but there wasn't a whole lot of people teaching those instruments specifically, and the techniques that go along with tiny instruments. So my initial thought was like, oh, I'm just going to learn all these instruments and just like, brute force it and be able to teach all this. And then I got to the point where I was like, no, I really need to collaborate with other people who are already established on these instruments or can hop in on that. Like you're just like a perfect fit for melodica. So I just yeah, I have been, it's been kind of percolating for like the last 8 or 9 months, and I'm hoping to get it off the ground soon, and have it be a platform for online lessons.
Sounds awesome.
So yeah, so that's the origin story of Tiny Instrument Academy.
If it makes you feel any better, cutting yourself working on an avocado was much more legit. I did the same thing when I was a kid,
Oh,
but I was cutting Play-Doh with a steak knife.
oh man.
So yours is much more legit than mine.
I don't know, but like you're still a kid. Like, it's like it's understandable, and you just like you're Wolverine when you're a kid. You just heal like so quickly. Being in
Very true.
my mid 30s, like I didn't quite bounce back from it as quickly as I would have liked, but
Well, sending up all of the good vibes and prayers and hoping that
I
your
appreciate
finger
it.
can heal
I appreciate
completely.
it. Yeah, but if it doesn't, there's always I got I got these guys, so it's good. All right, well, let me just really quickly show you a little bit about what I did for how long, because there was some cool stuff that I did, and I just wanted to show you. And if you have like any questions, and so let me share my screen.
Program is this? This is cool.
This is still Reaper. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Reaper is my second boyfriend. It's it's just so cool. Um, all right, so this was something I figured out today. So as I said, it's like half sampled, um, half live recordings. So this is your original recording of the melodica part that you sent me. But
Mm-hmm.
some of the like your swells were like really really loud, and so
Yes.
I'm still kind of learning this, but you can, if you go over to here, it's the envelope. There's all these different envelopes, and you can select. There's volume or volume pre-effects, which I still need to compress the melodica, so that's what I do for that. But it's cool because you just you hold down on control, and then there's this little pen that that pops up, and you can like just kind of draw um, lower. So here's the original. So that one didn't really need to be modified, but this here you draw and see it just kind of takes it down a little bit, like just drops the volume, and you can really create some like cool little contours with that.
That's cool. It does that same thing in Logic, but it's so weird. Like I guess this just is like a it teaches us that programs aren't necessarily compatible, because I did the same thing in Logic before I sent you the file
Oh,
to like
really?
decrease the swells, and it was good on my end. But then it's weird that once you plugged it in the Reaper, it was still like
Yeah.
off. That's interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know what the answer to why that is, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
that's the thing about DAWs, is like they don't always play well together. I'm doing another recording project with a person using Pro Tools, and like, yeah, it they don't they don't make nice. Um, but yeah, so that was um, that was that. So a little mixing um, thing that I discovered, and then so I went in, and when I arranged things, I just drew everything by hand in the MIDI editor. So it's like I showed in the last episode, where you just take the pen and draw, the spot on the piano where you want. And I don't know if it's just, my hand sewing, hand crafting background, but I like that. Although I did just get a launch key mini for MIDI inputs.
Ooh.
So okay, so like as I was saying, I just hand drew this stuff, but I wanted to have sheet music version of it. And it turns out when you come up here there's a musical notation function. So this is what I worked with when I was playing the bass line. So I wrote the bass line beforehand, but um, just read off this score while I was recording it. And one thing that was really nice was getting these. I forget what they're called. There's a term for it in tango. Or on beat 4, you have that slide up a perfect
Yeah, like
fourth.
it's like the little, it's almost like an anticipation to the next downbeat type thing.
Yeah. It just gives it that.
I can't remember what that's called, and it's bugging me.
Yeah, I'll put a little commentary in the thing about it, what it is. We'll look it up. To the interwebs we go. And so I don't know if you notice, I put it in D minor. It's in C sharp minor, and I should have just arranged it for D minor. I don't know what I was thinking, but I wanted that really, um, you know, I mean, it's C sharp is such a dark brooding key. I wanted to keep that.
It's very different from D.
Yeah, it has a much different vibe. So I actually down tuned my bass to E flat.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I could have just like recorded it and then edited it, you know, in post production, but yeah, I don't. So the strings are a little loose sounding, because they're not meant to. They're already pretty loose and thick to begin with, but yeah, so that was fun. That's a fun little hack if you have to play something in a weird key, not a weird key, but like, with a lot of accidentals. It's a good thing.
Yeah, like a key that doesn't fit well in the instrument.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because all right, so what if you're this, it's still tuned to E flat, but if I kept it in the original key, it would be like this fingering. It's just gross. But
Yeah, that does not look fun.
let me just turn this down a little bit. But this way, I could go and just grab it on the next string up. And then so it just allowed me more freedom. And then it's a little hard because with tango bass, it's arco, it's on upright, and it's usually on arco, and there's like a very specific bow technique that you use. So I had to kind of uh get this like real marcato sound, but like not, have like not have the strings just
Right.
rattling. So it's this like very controlled passion, passionate approach to
Yes.
playing bass. It was just kind of it took me a couple takes to kind of get the vibe that I wanted, but it worked out. How was it?
So for, oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking like, so for our viewers who are not as musically inclined, the strings on your U bass are,
Okay, so they're normally E, A, D, and G. It's already out of tune because it's
no, you're good.
not meant to be tuned like this. But I tuned it down to E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. So
So that makes it like so now for the people on the theory side who are like, we turned it to E flat. So that makes, you're kind of like transposing the C sharp minor song to D flat minor
or to D
based
minor.
on your tuning.
Yeah, it's now in D minor.
What is happening? Well, fingering wise, but then like C sharp, instead of it being C sharp and you playing C sharp, the open string is a D flat. Make sense?
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
enharmonic equip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get
Yeah.
you. I get you.
I know some people would be like, well, that's not a sharp. Oh, okay, whatever. There are different colors for the different keys. Okay. Yes. Whatever. Yep.
No, it's I started doing it because I was a child of the 90s when like all the rock guitar songs were like down tuning. It was like tuning everything down to E flat and then dropping the low E string down to like D flat. And then they started getting like baritone guitars that could just go. It was a weird time. It was, but it was during my formative years, so it was like, down tuning and the right occasion can be really fun. Oh, you still muted.
Sorry. No, that's really cool. I would try it sometimes with my violin, even though I wasn't supposed to. It doesn't work the greatest, I tell you.
Yeah, yeah. Some individual results may vary as far as
Yes.
instruments go.
Yeah.
Well, how was it for you playing melodica?
So playing melodic, like for me, so here, let me pull it up and see if you can see it. Yes, through my
Oh,
weird background, I'm in space. Wee. Um, so it's literally a keyboard. So let me actually I'm gonna take my background off so you can see it. I'm pretending like my home is super clean and
you've
I
got
live in
like
this modern apartment.
you've got an IKEA house.
Yes. Let's turn it off. Okay, yes. And so here we go. Here is my tiny baby piano, and it's literally two octaves. It goes up two octaves on a fifth. So mine is a 32 note melodica. They do come in 37. I may be upgrading eventually.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, well, and a little bit,
Yeah.
hashtag rant. Uh,
Yes.
but for me, like the transposition wasn't needed, or I didn't have to do anything like that because I'm literally just playing in C sharp minor like I'm playing on the piano.
Okay.
So it was there wasn't really like a curve to get over. The hardest thing I think for me is deciding like which mouthpiece do I want to play with? Do I want to, play with the slinky, or there's also this one which is more like a weird bougie saxophone mouthpiece.
Yeah.
One thing with this, like it looks cool because you're just, holding this out like it's an instrument, like a clarinet almost,
Hmm.
but it slips out if
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
holding it right there. So I opted to keep I'm gonna call it the slinky from now on, but keep this, and then you can play it flat on a table like a piano. I prefer to just like I kind of do it like an accordion because I'll put it here and then play like this.
Oh, nice.
But for me, I mean, it was kind of interesting what I did because I recorded against your bass line and put yours into Logic on one channel. And then I had to record my video. I attempted using photo booth on the Mac if you have a Mac. The difficult thing is like having two different programs running at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went old school and literally put my phone on the floor on my computer and recorded. That was my visual, and then I recorded directly into Logic on a separate track, separate input. This, and it was inputting through my Mac speakers.
Okay.
So then I was able to export as either just the melodica recording or the melodica with your bass recording as an
Yeah.
audio file. But then I also had the video on top of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
was I had to stretch my, you know, technological muscles and try to figure out what the heck how I was gonna record it. But yeah, playing wise, it was fine.
It was fun. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you want to do for our next cover? And I mean, I know we talked about this a little bit, but
Ooh. So I think it would be cool to. I know you mentioned Billie Jean, like that's one of my favorites too.
okay.
We could do Billie Jean, or we're still recording, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because I was just gonna maybe like, I think it would be kind of cool to get our audience input, and they can email us ideas for covers, what they would like to hear, and maybe that could be one that we do a few episodes out or something.
Yeah.
And they can just email us, yeah.
Yeah. And we're at doctor's notes music at
Music
gmail.
at Gmail. Yep.
All right. We're official. We have a
Mm-hmm.
Gmail account.
We got
We're
all of the things. We've got the Instagram, the Facebook, the Gmail account, and the YouTube channel, obviously.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we're making a social media presence. Here we come.
Yes. I don't know if we're gonna do a TikTok though. I'm not ready for TikTok.
I'm way too old for TikTok. I aged. I wasn't even. A,
You're good.
yeah, it's just not
TikTok
happening.
for everyone else is like our version of Vine.
And I was
It's
even a
basically the
little too
same.
old for Vine, so yeah, I'm
Gotcha.
like, I mean, I was around when Facebook came out. Like I was in college when Facebook came
Oh
out.
wow.
Yeah, and so a funny story about that. When so I'd had Facebook for like a week or two, and I got an invitation to a birthday party, which was like it's just like, what is this weird thing? Okay, cool. And so go to the birthday party with a couple friends, and rumors start circulating that there's some high schoolers who hacked into Facebook and found out about the party and are now coming to the party. And so I was just like, we need to get the heck out of here, like right now. Like, I don't know what is happening. None of this makes sense. The words I get, the sentences make no sense, but we are leaving. This is just, a bad situation. And yeah, so like the high schoolers showed up and like punched the birthday boy, and the cops got called, and
Oh
like
Lord.
multiple people got arrested. So yeah, it
Oh
was it
wow.
was
That
one of
was
the
a heck of an introduction to Facebook.
yeah, it was just like what is this thing? And
Wow.
yeah, so it's
That's
always
insane.
it's always weird for me when like like our parents, people in our parents generation are getting on Facebook, and it's like it's considered so passe
Yeah.
as far as social media goes. um
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, back in
Facebook
the
used to
day.
be popping
Oh yeah.
back in the day.
There's feisty high schoolers who are coming to your parties to physically assault the birthday boy.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that's one of my that's my like dating myself fun Facebook story.
It took me forever to get a Facebook. I only got it because I was forced to for a class in college.
Oh wow.
I
Yeah.
know it was weird. It was our means of communication. They're like, we communicate on Facebook. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's still bizarre because it's yeah. To me it was my first introduction was like, this is for college students only, and like high
hmm.
schoolers have breached the like sacred oath of Facebook, and they're yeah,
Wow.
they're coming, and we need yeah, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, so yeah, like I said, we'll leave it to the viewers as to what tunes they'd like to hear covered by tiny instruments. And I have a website up for Tiny Instrument Academy. It's very very retro looking, but it's and very basic. It's a one page website, but it is going to grow to something large and glorious.
Tell
Uh,
them why it's retro. What makes it retro? What's the fun thing that you do to make it retro?
oh yeah, and we will definitely go into this in future episodes. But I am a pixel artist, but an accidental pixel artist. And I started out with cross stitch, like you can see. I've got a bunch of like cross stitch things here in the room, and so I'm like the most game illiterate person in the world. I did not grow up playing video games like at all. I'm of that generation, but
Yeah.
it was kind of like my little brother's thing, and I wanted to just let him have it. And
Hmm.
I was the overachieving older sister, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna like kick your butt at video games just to like add salt into your wounds.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I've cross stitched for like over a decade. Well, I've since I was a kid basically, so a long time. We'll just leave it at that. Um, but about a year ago, I just it was weird. I was I was waiting in the car for Michael to have a physical therapy appointment, and I just was like bored, and I was like, pixel art, so I want to start making my own patterns, so I probably need to do something pixel art. And so I found like this, it's like pixelart.com. It's like a free pixel maker, and I
Hmm.
was super good at it because I'm used to thinking in that
Like
way.
in cross stitch. Yeah.
Yeah, my mind's just like thinks in little
Little
squares.
blocks.
Yeah, little squares and color, little colors and squares. And so yeah, I've just gotten really into pixel art, and because I like that you can animate it. I tried animating cross stitch. Like if you go to my Instagram, I had some like earlier, you know, trying to like animate some cross stitch stuff, but it's just too labor intensive, and
Yeah.
pixel art's really set up for it. There's programs like specifically to like put in pixel art and uh, make animations out of it. The main software is a sprite, which I would be happy to like take a a journey through that. It's super fun, and yeah, maybe when I make more of our sprites, I'll show I'll show everybody how that was made.
Yes.
But I yeah, and I Michael has a music video that will hopefully drop at some point that he wanted me to do, and he wanted in a there's a bunch of different styles of pixel art, so but he wanted like a top down RPG style, so it looks like the viewer's kind of looking at you from above,
Oh
and
yeah.
like a lot of old role playing games, RPGs are
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So he wanted me to do a top down style for one of his video games, and so that's I started working with that and animating in that style, and I'm working with like an actual pixel artist to make some additional instruments. I can make string instruments. Like string instruments are my jam, but the
Nice.
woodwinds I'm needing some help with. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
do you have anything that you want to promote before we sign off?
I
Okay.
don't think so. Not right now.
Okay.
Wait. No, yeah, not right now. I can't promote that because it's not released yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah. Anyway, maybe whenever it is, I have to wait on the. I wrote a piece for a guy's doctoral recital,
oh,
but we
cool.
have to wait for it to be aired by the school. And
Okay.
the whole program is focused on like issues of police brutality.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nothing right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, just just keep us posted, because yeah,
I will.
want to know what you're up to. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode. Again, requests for tiny instrument covers, doctor's notes music at gmail.com. Thank you, Brianna.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank
And
you, Leah.
awesome melodica playing.
Thank you.